Hello, and welcome back to Podcast with a K. I'm your host, Carla with a K, and we have a treat in store for you today. You're listening to WBCS 90.1 FM. You just heard The American Dream is Killing Me by Green Day, which is obviously stuck in my head, which should have obviously won the Grammy, but congratulations to the Beatles on their continued career of success. The treat that we have for you today is we have a returning guest and a favorite of the show, which I know he's one of my favorites. I know he's one of the audience's favorites. Welcome back into the studio, Dylan.
Hello, been a while.
It's been a while. I think the reason that I'm really excited to have Dylan is because I value his opinions and takes, and they're the type of opinion and take that, as far as I've known Dylan, everyone kind of always listens to. And Dylan, I actually talk about you a lot on the podcast because of
Oh,
one thing. Well, a couple of different things, but one thing specifically that comes up a lot is I
okay.
remember we met in college, and I
Mhm.
remember you took your Sundays completely to yourself. You didn't answer the phone, you didn't answer phone calls. If you ran into somebody, you said, "Hey, what's up?" But you went back to your own thing that day. If you wanted to do something, it was because you chose to do it, not because anyone asked you to or anyone forced you to. And that philosophy changed my life because I used to be like, oh, well, Sunday's like homework and podcast day. But then, someone calls, someone texts, and then I'd be like, guys, okay, fine, I'll go. But having that conversation with you changed my life. And to this day, years later, I still do that. So I just think it's important for you to know the impact that you've had on my life personally, but also just, I think, in the world. Your impact is global.
Hmm, thank you, I appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know, it's just I think that started for me, I think a little bit prior to college, and I think it was somewhat due to my family background. I think at that time my family dynamic was a little bit hectic for me, and I would tend to be kind of like the glue of every situation. So after a while, I noticed that I just kind of needed a day for myself just so that I can, go through my thoughts, or not even go through my thoughts, but just basically relax and unwind. Um, I'm not gonna lie though, I really do envy the people that do have a more thorough mindset and they can be able to be extroverts 24/7. And I mean, so can I. But there's a day out of the week where I just need to be an introvert. I just have to. I just can't.
I fully agree. I got in an argument, not in an argument, I got into a discussion with my friends somewhat recently about this exact thing. We were talking about like, oh, it's so hard to like have to do this thing, have to go to this place. And I was like, oh, well, if it's something you want to do and no one wants to do it with you, what's stopping you from, calling ahead, being like, I'm going to show up, but it's going to be just me this time? Like, what's stopping you from doing that? And so it's like, well, Carly, you don't get it. You're an extrovert. And I was like, me? Because I'm sitting here having this conversation with you. I'm an extrovert. I'm sitting here because you requested my time. If you hadn't asked me to be here, I wouldn't have called at all. And so it became like this whole
True.
thing because I do go out and I do things and I do sign up for things in which I'm in the public space. But I'm like, that's one half of me. Like, that's the podcast half of me, right? Like, that's the part of me that has the desire to connect with people and share with people and learn from people. But I have to process that on my own, right? Like, where I get my energy is being able to do something that doesn't require any additional stress, right? And there are some people who are also introverts that I can hang out with all day and not feel that weight, right? Because they don't drain
Hmm.
your social battery. And those are my favorite people.
True. Okay. Now that since you put this something on me, I'm gonna put something on you. One thing that I did appreciate about you, um, and I think it happened like countless times, especially when we would come back from um, the bars. It's just like, well, I guess I want to also like give a shout out to Theo and Kim, but there was times where we were just able to just be in the car and just like not say a word, just basically enjoy each other's peace, and that's really really rare.
That's the perfect way to say it because that's such a good point. There would be times, you're right, we would be coming back from like a night out or something, and there would be times when we would just like give each other a look and be like, you caught that, right? And you'd be like, dude, yeah, I know. And I think that's one of the reasons we clicked at first. It's like you would notice like the things that were going on. And then you
Oh
mentioned that
yeah.
I did the same thing. And I was like, oh, isn't everyone just like observant? And you were like, no. no, they're not. And
Mhm,
so then we ended up hanging out with Kim and Fio that night. And you were
mhm.
like, yo, guess what she noticed? And I was like, yo, guess what he noticed? And they were like, oh, we were talking about that too. And I think that's kind of what created those like night drives at the end where like we would just sit in silence because we all knew we peeped the same thing. And we were like, man, that's crazy, huh? Yup. We would
Mhm.
just keep it going.
I do enjoy those nights. Shout outs to Sports Bar.
Shout
It's
out to
romantic.
sports, dude. A special place in my heart.
Mm.
So,
Oh my god.
you know, as
Mm,
you can see, like our friendship I think is deeply rooted in that sort of like similar mindset of being observant. And I think this leads us perfectly into our activity that we have planned for you.
yes.
But before we get into it, I want you to give us a song that's on your mind. That way we can kind of get into the mindset of who you are for everyone that hasn't met you yet.
Mm,
And everyone that has met you knows it's going to be a banger. So
Your Love by Vince Staples, and I think Feet like six Black. Was it Black? No, I think it's Black.
I think it's
I
black.
don't know the other artist. Yeah, sorry, my bad. Yeah, and I just do not know the other artist, but yes, it's Your Love by mainly by Vince Staples. Yeah, so Vince Staples, my bad.
All right. Well, let's hear the dulcet tones of Vince Staples and we'll be right back. All right, so that was Yo Love by primarily Vince Staples.
Hmm.
So here's the activity that we have. Dylan recommended that I do a thing to receive anonymous questions and confessions in exchange for our unsolicited opinion and advice. Although it is solicited because y'all asked, so we're gonna answer.
That is true. I mean, we didn't force you guys to type any of these confessions or questions.
Right.
It was all you.
I found a completely random platform called onlinequestions.org. It's completely anonymous, right? Because I know some of the other apps let you pay to see who submitted it because you have to be logged in. And so I was like, let's skip any and all of the middleman. All right. I want people to be able to like say it with their chest. So we have a list of things and we're going to try to get through all of them before the end of the show. Because we're going to try to keep it obviously to our hour long format. We did ask y'all to vote the questions that you liked up, so we would get to those first. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. The first question with 9 upvotes, which I was like, yo, what? Says, I'm in a super weird place where I want a relationship, but the idea of committing to someone is terrifying. What are your thoughts?
Mm. You're not ready yet. Um, I mean, there can be so many factors as to why you feel like you are not ready to be in that relationship. It can be anything from like like past traumas. It can be anything from like your previous relationship. It can be anything from self acceptance. So I guess my best solution, or I guess answer, would be to just kind of find that trigger, or I guess what's stopping you from going into a relationship. I really strongly advise that. Don't just get into a relationship just because you feel some connection with someone. Make sure that you take care of yourself first. That's really, really important. Again, right? I know sometimes emotions can be really strong, but if you don't address certain problems that you have with yourself, that can reciprocate and to your partner. And then again, it wouldn't be fair for you to, I guess, either one, unload that insecurity, or I guess punish them for not meeting your needs. I guess if that makes sense.
That is such a good point. That actually leads me into a different thought process that I was having
Mhm,
about a different question, but I think it's relevant to this, in which it's not a new person's fault how an old person treated you. And I feel like
mhm,
that's something that we're all kind of guilty of until we realize we're doing it. And I think the
mhm,
reason that committing to someone is so terrifying is because you've probably not found the right kind of person before. Because as heartbreaking as it is to find the right person, but know it's not going to work out because maybe you live somewhere else, you have a different job, you have different goals, but you still love them and you part heartbroken but still amicably, you won't be afraid of commitment. You'll be afraid of getting hurt, but I think it's easier for you to find that new relationship and to keep going. But whenever you've been burnt time and time again, and you're like, why are these people doing me wrong? Am I doing something wrong? That creates that mindset of maybe it's commitment that's scary. And I don't think that's true. I think the reason that commitment seems scary is because you're imagining a future in which you're committed to the wrong person. but you're not going to find the right person until you stop finding a scapegoat for the previous person that did you wrong, right? And it's not something that's easy to notice. Like everyone loves a rebound because it takes your mind off of things. But whenever that rebound is just as bad, if not worse, as the previous person, then you're kind of stuck in a loop because, you're only doing yourself dirty because you are worth more. You are capable of finding the right person. It's just you have to give yourself that actual boost, right? Like there's no such thing as dating in or out of your league. It's just finding someone that's right for you and in whatever part of life you're in.
True, true. Um, just to add on to that is find your confidence too. If you do not have confidence going into a relationship, um, that's going to be really hard. And I'm not trying to sound negative at all, but just be aware that when you go into any relationship, don't think of this mindset, but just know that be ready also to risk it. That's just kind of like the um harsh reality of life, right? So um but doesn't mean that when you go into a relationship that you kind of have like a wall so that you are protecting yourself so that in case if it doesn't work out, then you don't get hurt. No, that's not the point. The point is for you to process actually that pain so that you can either mature or grow as a person. um, and it helps you have those uncomfortable conversations with yourself.
Yeah, that's huge. Oh my goodness, that's huge.
Yeah.
Well said.
Oh, it's just what was it?
I love the shrug.
I'm
He's
not
like, what can
smart.
I say? I know.
I'm not smart. I just made quite a few mistakes. So
He's not smart, he's wise.
there you go. There. Yep.
To pivot away completely, um, I have a crush on my direct manager at my main job.
I got a good one. I got a good one.
Hit us with it.
It's pretty short. If you do not get this, I cannot help you, or anyone else can help you. Don't where you eat. And I'm sorry if I just cuss, but just don't, 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 just
Don't.
don't, bros. Oh man.
Unless you're sure that's the one and you're getting married in 6 months, don't.
And I'm not saying from personal experience, no. Um, I'm a manager, and I've seen this scenario played out so many times that yeah, just don't do it.
It's a bad
Don't do
idea,
it.
firstly, if it goes wrong, but secondly, the power dynamic is so dangerous no matter who's in the position of superiority.
Mm,
Because then, you know, you're gonna say, I won't be different. You will. You don't want to get fired. You're gonna start doing more for them than they are for you. It's just the natural order of things. And if you don't, that's gonna make it so much worse if you break up. Because now they can exert that power, which they will. And if they don't, I don't know
true.
how you found yourself in such a peaceful part of the world. Share your secrets, but don't.
Don't. This is not worth it. For just ask yourself this: do you value your peace more or your happiness more? Like which one? You can't have both right now. That's
Right.
just the simple. That's another way to put it. So, do you value your peace or your happiness? I would say peace.
Right.
Happiness can always come and go. Peace is priceless. So, this is
Peace
yeah.
is priceless. All right. On the topic of taking the moral high ground, am I a bad person if I use Tinder to get free meals or rides to places?
No, I can't hate on that. Like I said earlier, don't hate the player, hate the game. I mean, at the end of the day, like no one's really forcing these people to come and like, buy you food and give you rides. Now, if you're manipulating them and you can go to sleep at night with that, then I just can't hate. Like if you have that gift, sorry, I just can't hate. Can't hate it. I can't. I can't. That
That's
one,
so funny.
that type of scenario always gets me stuck. And at first I was that person that would be like, oh my God, you're a narcissist, you're a manipulator, you use people.
Yeah.
Um, but then there was one time where I think I was at a bar and I was kind of having the same conversation with a friend of mine, and he kind of just kind of like dumbfounded me because he was just like, yeah, but like, who are you to um, hate that person because you don't have control over their actions?
That's true. That's true.
So that makes you a hater. Just letting you know. Like if you envy people, like okay, if they bully you, that's a different thing. But like if they don't know you, if they've never said a word to you, and you hate them because somehow they're able to get these things, or have people just kind of like drop down to their knees and like do whatever they want for them, that's a hater. I'm sorry.
I can't even disagree. I feel like I know people on both sides of this, people who have been played and people who are doing the playing. And I'm like, why are you on Tinder in the first place? Point blank, period. That's it. Like, you're entering, you can't walk through fire and expect not to get burnt. I don't care how fireproof your clothes are, dog. That's going to
Hmm.
catch fire if you stay in the fire long enough. That's it.
You're entering the void. You're entering the void. Just all, yep, exactly.
All
Survival
right.
of the fittest.
Survival of the fittest, dude.
Mm.
Okay, moving on. Ooh. Wait, this one's saucy. I had a fling with my best friend's fling, but I didn't know they were a fling until later. And now I feel terrible about it, but I can't ever tell her because she thinks I hate him. But I only hate him because he did this.
I don't know. It takes two people to dance, so what do you mean he did this? Like, I mean, okay, you did say that you didn't know, but then again, it takes two people to commit the act. So are you saying that you hate him, or are you saying that you hate yourself for hating him first?
Man, that's crazy.
Those are one of
I
those
didn't even
questions that you
think
just
of
kind of,
that.
I mean, mm, again, right, this is go back to the emotion thing. I really wouldn't like put much thought into it. Now, depending on the friendship and how long you guys have been best friends, um, if it's gonna stay a fling, I really wouldn't really care to share. But then again, if that person was to get into a relationship with that fling, yeah, you better tell them. You just better tell them. Unless if you don't have a conscience, like if you don't have a conscience, then okay, then you're not gonna feel guilty about it. But I have a conscience, and I know that I would need to tell my friend. I don't think I don't know. For me, like I've done a lot of stuff, but I just it's just that ethical point that like crosses the line. I wouldn't be able to sit at the same table with my friend and then
Knowing.
his girlfriend, and then knowing that me and her like slept with each other. Like I just no, I don't know. Yeah,
I
I just don't.
think the anti snitch mentality is only relevant in some cases, you know? I feel kind of similarly, in which, like, if you truly didn't know, of course you feel guilty and you have the
Mm,
right to hate this person who did your friend dirty, right? Unfortunately, he did your friend dirty with you. If you had found out that he had done this with anyone else, you would have told her, right? Because you would have been like, yo, he's not good for you. He cheated on you, blah, 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 blah,
mm,
blah, blah. Because it's you, it's hard because you don't want your friends to be mad at you. That's what you're actually scared of.
mhm.
Get over it. Tell her.
True. Actually, you know what? Yeah, I take it back. Um, Fear is exciting, but it's also terrifying. Um, and I feel like however you feel about the friendship, um, tell them. I would say now, yes, do please just tell them, because at the end of the day, like if you tell them now and there, like it can be like bygones. But if you like
Because what if he
wait
tells
until
her?
later, yeah, yeah, exactly. And then usually guilty people will like to first tell the truth, or go and tell the other person or the other party about it, so that they can clear their name. So
Yeah,
yeah, I
that's
mean,
true.
yeah.
Here's the
So
exception. How serious was
okay.
this fling? Is it still happening?
Hmm.
And if not, how long ago was it? I do think there's a grace period. If both of those things are in the past, whatever. If it's not serious, whatever. If your friend actually cares about this fling, that's I think where perhaps you should let them know, because even if it's not you, maybe their current partner is going to do this again with somebody else. So it would be more of a warning, like,
Mhm,
hey man, this sucks, but just so you know, this did happen. Keep an eye out for Selena. If
mhm.
it's not serious and no one really cares and it doesn't really matter,
Mm.
like, whatever, dude.
He said keep an eye out for Selena, more like keep an eye out for Jolanda. Jolanda, we're waiting for you, just letting you know. Don't think we forgot.
Yo! All right. We wrapping that one up, tossing it to the
No,
side. I have a crush on someone, but I found out they like stuff that gives me the ick, and now I don't want to even just be friends.
move on.
Move on. uh,
Move on.
there's a degree to which I would say, does it give you the ick because it's weird or because it's bad? If you can't see yourself buying into it, because I know some people be like, well, they can be into that, but on their own time, you know, maybe find a different way to be into it that doesn't involve me. I don't know, fam. It made me think. I also thought politics might be a huge one.
Mhm.
I also thought, what if they're into like, what if it's a weird one? Like, what if they're into feet?
Can't judge. It's 2024. That's all I'm gonna
It's
say.
2025, actually.
So it's my bad. Yeah, sorry. It's 2025. You can't judge people if they like feet. I'm just joking. Um, dog. I mean, if they like feet, personally, I'm not into that. But yeah, it
Think,
really depends.
yeah.
It can be like a hobby. It can be, um, I guess, political views. It can be how they dress, music wise, food diet. I don't know, but I mean, like, I don't know. I think this one, and I'm sorry if I sound mean, but it's a pretty straightforward question with an answer. If you don't like something, move on. Don't don't
Yeah.
don't make yourself an anchor for someone else. I mean,
I
I
don't
don't
know,
know. I
dude. I
guess.
feel like there's weird ones. Like, it's like you're into Tibetan throat music, and it's like, I don't want to listen to that. If you can find a middle ground where, like, if I tell you, hey, listen to this Mariah Carey song, and you can be like, oh,
Mhm,
wow. But if you're going to be like, no, it
mhm,
doesn't have Tibetan throat singing, then I'd be like, all right,
mhm.
man, goodbye. I don't need to do that.
I have a good scenario too as well. It's like a chilango or a chilanga dating like a norteño or a
Yeah.
norteña.
Yeah.
Like two different worlds meet, and obviously,
Right.
like chilango, you're gonna be playing like those cumbias and everything, like cumbias sonaderas, but then you're gonna have that norteña person playing,
Pura
Chalino
banda.
Sanchez. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, So I don't know. I guess okay. I don't fully move on. I guess try to talk to them first and see how that goes. And if right away you still get the ick, then yeah, just move on. I mean, at least you can
Yeah.
go and move on without the regret of saying like, "Oh, I never tried."
If you can learn to try to like what the other person is into, proceed with caution. But if it's something that is going to always be an argument, like just unjustifiably, then yeah, on to the next one. You'll find your person. I promise. Being alone sucks, but it's not that bad. You'll be okay.
Yeah, it's not that bad, honestly. It's pretty nice. You get to have a bed for yourself.
Okay, to continue our wonderful segues here.
Hmm.
I have feelings for my best friend, and it sucks. I don't want to ruin our friendship. I guess I'm just gonna let the feelings pass. Feel your feelings. Feeling your feelings is important. I think that's rich coming from someone like me who says, whatever, you're feeling things, go to work, live your life anyway. But you have to feel your feelings. If you have feelings for your friend, tell them. If they don't feel the same, it's up to you to be okay with it. The other person might not be able to deal with the weight of that, and that's okay because now you're able to move forward with that weight together. However, otherwise you're only dragging yourself down because you're so worried about it. And then you're going to be worried about, am I acting weird? Does he know or does she know? Like, what am I supposed to do next? How am I going to be able to live my life if I'm always thinking about this? And that's kind of what it comes down to. Unless you want to consume yourself with your feelings, you have to be able to share that, right? Act on that. And I've been in situations where I've caught feelings for my friends, and there have been a couple that I've decided to just let go by because I know that I'm also not the right person for them. It's like, it sucks. We're really good friends, but I know that they're in a different part of their life. And that's not to say that, like, you couldn't make it work. I just personally don't want the stress of wanting to be enough and live up to what they need in their life. And that's okay, you know? And so in those situations, I've let it go. There have been other situations where I've outright just been like, we've been hanging out a lot, and what if we hang out more, but like in a different way? And I've gotten a lot of no's, and that's okay because luckily I'm the type of person where it's like, that sucks, but I also don't want to stop being friends because we have fun anyway. And there's only been one in which I'm like, I'm so sorry, this isn't you, it's me. I can't be around you. I'll be back soon. Just let me have some time. But, I think those are like my top 3 examples, right? Like, accept it and move on. Straight up tell them, or distance yourself. But you got to do something about it. You can't just sit there. It'll eat you alive.
I would wish that I could have that type of drive. Um, but I tend to be more cautious. So I guess my advice would be, and not playing like devil's advocate, right? Just ask yourself, are you ready for rejection? Because if you are, by all means, please let them know. And if you aren't, just know that you're going to have to swallow this pill by yourself. It is not the other person's responsibility to uplift you, to make you feel good about yourself. If, however, the interaction goes, um, just I guess, yeah, ask yourself if you are ready for rejection. And then again, right, like also put attention to your friendship. Like if you know for a fact that you guys are going to be able to move forward from this, again, right, Carla said earlier, like I feel like those moments that she has had with friends are pretty rich because she's dealing with really mature people, right? Because I mean, I think I would also be in a situation where if someone came out to me and they were like, "Hey, I like you," and I'm like, but I don't like you, but we can still be friends. I guess that's something that I would attempt first, right? If it feels awkward and I'm sorry, then I guess we can't really be friends. But yeah, just know yourself and know the friendship first.
Yes.
And like just like I guess yeah, know the friendship first, right? Like if you know that that person's able to reject you and you guys are able to still move on from it, by all means, okay. Now again, right? If this is driving you nuts and you're like, I have to tell them, and if they don't feel the same way, that's fine. I can be without them because I know I'm never gonna stop feeling this way about them. Okay, by all means, let it be. But just kind of ask yourself some questions first, before you kind of just blurt it out again, right? Emotions are strong, but behaviors can always be controlled.
Yeah. Wow. Dude, man, Dylan is full of sound clips today. This is why I live for these talks.
Again, a lot of wisdom from a lot of errors.
Best way to learn is to live it. You know
Yep,
what? That's true though. I will add the point of, like, it does take some emotional maturity to still be able to deal with that rejection and maintain a friendship.
that's pretty bold. That's pretty bold.
Still in the relationships, but going a little more serious. My girlfriend wants to have kids eventually, but I'm scared of bringing a child into the world the way it currently is. The 2 or 3 possible scenarios, right? You break up because you don't want kids. You don't want to put a kid into this world. You stay together, you don't have kids. Now she's upset. Third scenario, you stay together, you have kids, and you have to deal with the world the way that it is. And you're not the only person feeling this way. Someone else said watching the world crumble around is scary.
No, I agree. I really, really agree. I mean, I'll be open about it. I've always shared that I've wanted kids in my life. Not right now, though. I will be honest with that about that. But in every relationship that I've been in, or am, um, what's it called? I've always shared right away. Hey, I want kids. Um, and I know that I've said like, I'm like, I know I've told myself I'm gonna have kids with or without you. So
Damn.
I think it's really important for you to let that person know, just like be like, hey, I just don't feel comfortable with just bringing someone into the world right now, and it can be because of X, Y, and Z, primarily because of how the world is going right now. But also think about it this way. Um, your perspective of the world is scary, but don't get stuck only in your perspective. Make sure that you look at the perception of your partner's views too as well.
Agreed. And I think that,
Yeah.
like, because I kind of read both of these in a similar
Hmm.
way, do you see a future in America with the current situation?
Mm. Mm.
I think
That's a
based
good one.
on tying them together, you know where my mindset is at.
Hmm.
But I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I mean, I guess as a DACA recipient, I've been living through this for ever since DACA came out. Um, our emotions have always been tested. Not saying that I don't care, but it's gotten to a point where I've kind of felt numb and I'm ready to embrace anything that happens. Um, sorry, but at the same time, yeah, this I guess I'm from Iowa. It's 90% white here and 4% black. You can actually look it up, and the rest is just be like Asian and Hispanic. So um, it's it's been something that I've been living with at all times. I want to say that if there was ever a time where I did actually had diversity in my life was when I was in Connecticut, and I think that's a factor as to why I really fell in love with that place. Um, but my advice would be, um, do not focus on the path ahead of you. Just take one step at a time.
Man, that's a
Just
soundbite if I've ever heard it.
just because most people tend to always want to look at the future or kind of, I guess, be the future, but in reality, you're just kind of creating scenarios that are not secured, which kind of leads to overthinking and then just feeling anxious. So again, just that's why they say take it a day by a time. But honestly, yeah, just take one step. Don't look at the path in front of you.
I
That's not
actually
the
love
point.
that. I love that so
Yeah.
much, and I'm in a similar mindset, I think, but obviously it's a little bit hard to maintain the worse things get because there are days whenever I'm like, why am I even still trying when in this country that's doing all of these things? Like, I'm wearing a NASA shirt today, bro. You know what I saw right before we were recording? There
But
was a news article that NASA not only, right, is DEIA being kind of scrubbed from all government sites, NASA has
mhm,
to remove their women in astro whatever, right? Their women in NASA page having a female head. NASA's run by a woman, and yet they have to
wow.
remove their female empowerment pages from their website. And I'm like, how does that make sense? What does it take away from highlighting people who are now able to do a job that 100 years ago they wouldn't have been allowed to do, right? Like, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter if like they're changing their hiring processes and, having to abide by different rules and restrictions. Why are they not allowed to celebrate something on their site?
I
It's
think
so performative and it's so weird. And that's just one aspect of it, right? Because whenever I
mm,
think of like identity and the world and America, I don't even think of I very, very rarely even remember, oh shoot, I also have to deal with being a woman, right? Like I have to deal with being an immigrant. I have to deal with being Mexican. And I don't even want to deal with that. I have to deal with wanting to be an artist in a STEM focused world. So it just kind of keeps like growing bigger and bigger and bigger the more you think about all of the concerns and roadblocks and steps in the way. And it's like you said, the path ahead would be fix this, find equality, find a path to bigger and better, and that's daunting, right? A step at a time is how am I going to pay for dinner tomorrow? That's even too far. A step at a time is am I happy today? And that's it.
So I mean, and it again, like right, it's those uncomfortable talks, or I guess those uncomfortable feelings that sometimes we tend to not acknowledge. And then again, right, I guess coming from an immigrant background family, I know that a lot of us tend to struggle with regulating our emotions. And it's technically not really our fault all the way. And I don't want to also blame that it was our parents' fault. It's just that nobody really had a time to be an emotional guidance for us because there was other priorities that needed to be attended to.
It's hard to focus on your
Some of
feelings when you're focused on survival.
exactly. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
So
one
I
step at
guess
a
that's my
time.
solution. One step at a time.
I like that. All right. Little tone change, but a good one, I think. What should I do if I'm
Okay.
pretty sure someone keeps sneak dissing me, but everyone thinks they're so nice?
Mm,
I say call them out, but I'm also me. I don't
mm,
fear confrontation at all. I
mm,
am the type of person where it's like, you get three strikes with me,
mm.
maybe a fourth if
Yeah.
you're nice enough. But
Mm,
I'll come up to you and I'll be like, hey man, we good? Did I do something? Did you do something? Did something
mm-hmm.
happen? If you tell me everything's fine, we're cool, I'm going to believe you. I'm not going to keep pressing. I'm going to trust you to tell me the truth, especially if we're friends. If it keeps going on, I'm going to ask you again. And if you give me the same answer, I'm going to believe you. And I'm going to leave it alone. You know, at some point, I will take a step back if I don't think the vibes are right because I'm like, you told me everything was fine. You told me you didn't have a problem with me, but I feel uncomfortable. I'm leaving. I'll be over there. You come talk to me when you're good and ready. And that's it. Right? Like I don't be like harsh goodbye, don't talk to me, I'm gonna block you on everything.
Mm,
I don't have the time, I don't have the energy. I'm too worried on survival to focus on my feelings. So, you know, you deal with you, I'll deal with me. And that's it. If everyone thinks they're so nice, the old me would have been like, hey man, don't trust this person. They're a snake. They're a rat. The new me that's gone through life and like learned about being a person, the new me is like, you know what, they'll figure it out for themselves. And if they don't, good. Maybe that's a good person to them. If they're nice to them and they're happy with each other, great, good. Do that over there. I want no part of it. And eventually the truth will out. It might take a couple of years, but they'll realize it. They'll they'll come around.
And the same goes for whether or not
true.
people like you, you know? They'll tell you. That's them.
I think yeah, the Omi would have been kind of more of a confrontational person. And again, right, I would be ethical about it. I'd just be like, hey, do you have a problem with me? Like, did I do something that bother you or something like that? But obviously it would be in a more sarcastic tone. But what I've actually really learned, right, it's that yeah, it's a waste of time. Like there's something that and it's not from me. I'm gonna say this right now, it's not from me. But and I forgot where I saw it. I know it's online, but long story short, if you don't have my phone number, neither if I have yours, then there should be no reason for you to hate me.
Yo,
Like this is,
that's good.
yeah,
I like
I
that.
guess play "Why You So Obsessed with Me" by Mariah Carey. I don't know. So
Insert the clip
I don't
right
know.
here.
Yeah, let's start the clip right there. But yeah, I don't know. I just like I think I'm at a point in my life where I can't get caught up with everyone's emotion. Unless if you're part of my circle, then of course, right? But if I say something and you don't tell me or you don't call me out of that moment, and then you decide to hold that, resentment towards me, I mean, everyone's different, I get it. But then again, right? Like, if you are not willing to communicate, like, hey, what you said the other day while we are in that friend group was not okay, or I don't know, something along the lines like that, then I'm sorry, it's a personal problem, and I'm not going to fix it for you.
Yeah, truly, truly, because it's like,
Oh,
on one hand, I'm doing everything I can, but if I could be doing more, how am I supposed to know unless you're telling me that I'm lacking? Because I'm not realizing, right? If something's slipping through the cracks, you gotta let somebody know. If it's someone that, like, I'm friends
mhm.
with, similarly, like, if you have my phone number, fine. If you know where I live and you're not telling me we have a problem, then that's on you, homie. What am I supposed to do?
I'm
If you
not a
don't know
mind
where I
reader.
live, then, like I said, I'll see you when you're I'll see you when you're over it.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, we're just at the stage of maybe when I was younger, yes, right? But like, I'm at the stage of my life right now where I'm just like, oh, I mean, if you hate me, it's nothing new. If you love me, thank you. Takes a lot. But yeah, it's just I just can't get caught up on emotions. I don't want to say that emotions are a waste of time. They need to be there when they need to be present. But if it's not benefiting me, it's a waste of time.
Preach it.
Yeah. So sorry.
I think this could actually be a good lead into the next question. I feel like I'm outgrowing my friend group, but I still love them, so I don't want to cut them off or leave them.
Oh, that's always going to happen.
Yeah.
That's always going to happen. Um, it's scary, yes. But I also kind of see it as what's the saying? With every goodbye, there's a new hello. So, if you feel like this is scary and it's making you feel some sort of way, I guess you can always voice it out. I mean, I don't know what would be the reason as to why. I mean, even me, it might be careers, it might be like mature level, it might be uh preferences, points of view, um, moral characters. I honestly do not know, but whatever it is, don't beat yourself up for it. There's a reason for why this is happening. And again, it's up to you if you want to make that choice. There's not going to be no wrong choice, right? Because those are your friends. But if you feel like you are running and they are walking, it's not your fault.
Yeah. I have nothing to add to that. That's exactly how I feel. I think there doesn't have to be like a huge like blowout goodbye. Like it's okay to just kind of move on. Like your friends will always be your friends in the capacity that they can be, right? And if
Mhm.
it's a friend group, it's a little bit harder because that's a whole lot of people. And maybe one of the people in that group is still kind of on your pace. I won't say on your level, right? But on your pace, like you're moving kind of forward in the same way. It's okay to
Mhm.
keep that person and it's okay to make a new friend group. I feel like everyone has like their favorite friends, right? But like the whole like you have one best friend and one friend group mentality is kind of unrealistic for especially for life as an adult, right? Like where you know people in different parts and like you have your circle, like you have the people that you trust. They might not be friends with each other. Like your circle is your circle and that's kind of what it comes down to and I think rather than feeling stuck in a friend group, it's more freeing to realize that your friend group is who you are friends with and that's it. Like it's fun to have a squad, but at the end of the day, if you
Mhm.
don't feel like you can count on them in the same way, that's okay. Cuz then, you're also able to be a good friend to the people you're friends with. Otherwise, you might start slipping up in keeping up appearances with the friend group that you no longer feel like you're serving, or vice versa.
True. It could also be like you don't necessarily have to like outgrow them. You can honestly just go and do you, and whenever there's a chance to hang out with them, you hang out with them. But then again, right, take the time to, I guess, not overanalyze, but just analyze those interactions as you're growing. And if you feel like every time you hang out with them, you feel more distant, then yeah, maybe it's time for you to kind of move on to a different friend group, or maybe it's time for you to just kind of um, ride life solo for a bit. Not a lot of people can do that. I know that I tried and it worked out for me for a couple of years, but um, it's also it's also pretty lonely. It's also pretty difficult. But did I enjoy my peace? Oh, of course I did. Um, but again, that's not for everyone. So just do what's best for you because at the end of the day, even if you're their friends or not, um, I mean, who is going to be taking care of yourself, not them?
Right. And that's right. A penultimate question I
Hmm.
think that I want to ask you is one that I really liked. And I think it's a good one to end on. But it says, what is your favorite thing about being alive?
Um, my favorite thing about being alive is um, having to wake up every day and just feel something different. And when I say wake up and feel something different, is um, I guess as a human being, sometimes we tend to be more consumers than anything else. And lately, I've been taking a step back from social media. And I think you've noticed this if I mean like if you do go to my Instagram or like my social media and stuff like that, I think maybe like a year after I graduated from college, I kind of went ghost on social media. I mean, I would post here and there, but I took a step back just to realize that I needed to fix some things about myself. There was some things that were pointed out to me by friends, by close ones, um, by reflecting on previous relationships that I needed to change as a person. Um, though I know that a lot of people always saw me as someone they can trust and someone that they can come and tell me their problems, which again I'm grateful for. I think I kind of got stuck in a loop where I um, put some other people's sorry about that some other people's priorities um, before mine, and I like right now, right? You're we're basically having a good conversation, and it feels like I'm reading out of a book. But honestly, no, it honestly it's because I've been reflecting a lot. So I've been reflecting a lot, and that has helped me understand why things happen, and it also helped me understand um, that I needed to take more accountability of my actions.
That's so absolutely rich. And I think that's a really, really in depth look
Mm,
into,
mm,
first of all, who you are as a person, which is kind of how we started this. Like, I admire that like level of like
mm,
observant behavior. Like, it's so rare to find someone that knows how to look within and also how to act upon that. But I would say that this conversation is a prime example of my favorite thing about being alive, which is listening to everyone else's stories and experiences. I love. I
mm,
did a project in college for photography class about the human condition, and my topic was sonder, which was a word that I learned on Tumblr about how everyone is living their own life with their own feelings and their own everything, right? And for
mm,
me, that's my favorite thing is not only does everyone have their own such like it sounds like so cliche, but everyone has their own unique experience and their own perspective and their own, their own like love stories, their own tragedies, their own comedies, like their own everything. And this right here is my favorite thing about being alive. It's like why I love the podcast so much. Like I get to have these talks. I get to have that little look into someone else's life and mentality, and for me it's like I'm collecting everyone into like a little book in like my mental library,
mm,
but at the same time I'm that too, right? And my favorite thing about being alive is having that realization that like the same way that I'm observing everyone else, like I'm someone that is also being observed and worth observing. I think that's really cool.
I agree. I agree. I agree that traveling through life is it's not always going to be easy, but it's so beautiful and rich when you see yourself grow and see how far you've gotten in life, right? Because then you take a step back and then you kind of look at your, if you were to ask yourself, what would my 17-year-old version would say? What would my 19-year-old version say? Or even then, like, what would my 8-year-old version say, right? Some of us have some trauma, and I think a lot of us tend to um, empower ourselves based on that trauma, and some of us are still trying to protect that small kid. So it's different.
That is so true, and that is so real.
Mm.
All right, well,
Okay.
the final question. If you're getting the electric chair tomorrow, what would be your final meal?
Oh my God! Wow.
That
Okay.
segue was amazing. Snaps for me, bro.
Um. Um. I would say Mexican rice. I know it's gonna sound so bad. Beans. What is it called? What's called like pollo empanizado in like
Oh,
in
like
English? It would be like
milanesa? Milanese, I guess, is the closest thing. It's
or like
breaded
crusted
chicken,
chicken or
literally.
breaded chicken. Yeah,
Yeah,
breaded chicken. There you go. Like breaded chicken
Milanese sounds
steak, I
fancier.
guess. Yeah. So and um natural water of lime with cucumber.
Ooh, you went.
I don't know.
Uh,
I'm pretty simple, right? They would think with like probably a hamburger by now. So yeah, I like that.
you went with like a very like homey like comfort meal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm about to get electrocuted, so I want to make sure that I feel home for a minute before the lights shut off on me for good. So,
I feel like my answer follows a similar train of thought, but in the completely opposite direction.
mhm.
Mint chocolate chip ice cream.
Okay, that's not bad.
It's my favorite, but also it's one of the first flavors I think I remember. And so I was going with like a full circle like type of
Mm,
moment. Like I think it's poetic that the last thing I eat is the first thing I remember. But hearing your story, I'm like, or hearing your answer, like reminds me of a story in which we were kids. We were at my grandparents' house in Mexico, and I'm
mhm,
like 3 maybe. I shouldn't remember this, or 3 or 4. And we're coming in, they're bringing in like stuff we bought at the store, and my dad does not remember this story, by the way. My dad had like some ice cream left in his cup, and he was like,
mhm,
here. He was trying to get me out of the way, obviously, but he was like, here, protect this. Make sure your sister doesn't get it, because my sister was like starting to walk and stuff, and she was like running around and grabbing things. And I'm like,
mhm.
okay. Obviously, me and my sister ate the ice cream.
Oh,
I
Charlotte.
felt so Charlotte. I don't think
Mm,
she would remember this. My parents don't remember this. It is the first thing I remember tasting. It was so good. Obviously, I ate it because I'm 3 and I have no self control or impulse control. It is the most
mhm.
delicious thing I've ever tasted in my entire life to this day. A memory that I shouldn't have. And so I feel
That's
like
actually a good memory.
that would be my final answer. I want mint chocolate chip ice cream.
That's a good answer. I like that. That's actually pretty good. I like that story. That's a pretty good story. I
Thank
like that.
you.
Yeah.
Dylan, thank you so much for having this conversation with me. Thank you for gracing the podcast with your presence.
Mm,
I know that a
thank
lot of
you.
us did notice that you went ghost, and it was very sad, but I'm glad that you've been using
Mm,
that time to reflect within and become an even better person, as if that were possible. Um,
mhm.
you've been listening to Podcast with a K, and I'm Carla with a K signing off. This is WECS 90.1 FM, or your preferred podcast listening platform. Do you have any final closing remarks, statements, shout outs, and or sign off songs that you would like to share?
Um, so shout outs is gonna be through the whole Eastern scholarship Dreamers program. Everyone knows who I'm talking about.
If you know, you know.
For those for those who got to know me, shout out, like to all of you guys. I hope that you guys are doing well. I hope that you guys are um pushing through those barriers that you guys have. For those that didn't get to know me, I guess I was everyone's pastor, and everyone would come and confess me their darkest secrets. Um, but I guess just to kind of finish things on a good note, let's go ahead and play Fireworks with Drake.
Okay, wow, bold choice right now given the state of
Mm,
things.
mhm, yeah.
All right, well, you guys, thank you so much for listening. Without further ado,
Mm, thank you.
here's Fireworks by Drake. Have a good week.